Welcome to the Salt Stands Alone podcast. My name is Hank, and I am all alone in this world, speaking into a microphone. For you, welcome. Yeah, I just wanted to record a thing. I haven't done it in a while on my own. This is a much more difficult kind of podcast to record, I think, than with someone. Not like, obviously, scheduling wise, it's much easier. I could just do it because I have energy to do it at the moment. But, having stuff to say, having a springboard, even if for stuff like this where I'm mostly just trying to get out my thoughts, having a springboard is really useful. It's really nice, and I just don't have it currently. But I wanted to talk about some stuff. Mostly I wanted to talk, but also, so I'm just going to talk about some video games first, at least. And I'm going to start with Hades 2. And so Hades 1, I would say I was not as high on as a lot of other people. I love Supergiant games. I loved Bastion. I really loved Bastion. I never actually I still haven't played Transistor. I listened to the soundtrack a bunch because it's arguably the soundtrack that speaks the most to me. But everything I heard about the gameplay, I was like too afraid that I wasn't gonna like it, so I never did it up. But I loved Pyre. Pyre is is still their favorite game for me, overall. But I love the characters in that one. It had at a time when I desperately wanted I had a Mass Effect shaped hole in my heart. And there were a bunch of games like Persona 5 and Horizon Zero Dawn that also filled in parts of it. But Pyre was probably the one that did it the best in terms of just having a crew and doing and going on a journey and talking to them. That was probably my favorite crew. And I like the gameplay. I feel like I'm higher on the gameplay in that one than other people. I thought it was fun. So Hades 1 is the thing about it is it's hard to go back to Pyre because the voice acting, there's just not everyone's fully voice acted the whole time. So when you play Hades 1, that's such a big part of that game, and it's so well done and just great. And so the characters really pop because of those vocal performances, on top of good writing. But the gameplay never quite clicked with me. Always felt like I was kind of in the mud at the start of runs. And I was hoping to get stuff that would make it feel good. And I don't really know why. But Hades 2 I didn't have that problem even a little bit. Right from the jump, Hades 2 just clicked with me so much harder at the start of runs in terms of being fun to play immediately. And that's pretty big because it means I just wanted to play Hades 2 runs over and over again. The finishing a run and wanting to start another one, the pull was so much stronger with me just because of the gameplay. I just thought it was much more fun to me. It's also a much more polished game. You can tell Hades 2 is the beneficiary of Hades 1's success. It's just it was clearly they were a more established. They had more time. I don't know, all the things. I just feel like there's a level of polish on Hades 2 Like, just look at the character portraits, the giant character portraits in Hades 2, and then go back to the character, like when you talk to the gods in Hades 1, and they feel tiny in comparison. But that's like, people might have preferences for that older stuff, but just to ensure sheer budget. I also know people like, I don't think the story in Hades 2 resonates as well as the story in Hades 1, but frankly, it was kind of irrelevant to me because I just like playing it so much more. Like, it's a total gameplay thing. And also, it's secretly Hades 2 and 3, basically, because it has like twice the areas. And just being able to like go back and forth was another thing that was just like, I don't know. It was just like, I just had more fun. I think your starting health is a little higher. I think that's a big thing for me. But I don't know. It just clicked better. I found it easier. But that's in like it just gelled with me more kind of way. Like, it just clicked with me in a way that Hades 1 did for a lot of people and didn't for me. I played like probably 25 hours of Hades 1, like 20 on PC, and I've played like 5 hours or something, or 4 or 5 just on Switch, just messing around with that version because you could basically. And I didn't mind supporting Supergiant because I'm a big fan of Danny B's or what's his name? That's the wrong person. Supergiant Games, the soundtracks. What's the composer's name? Go away. Darren Korb, yeah. And one of the few video game soundtracks I actually have on a CD is the Bastion soundtrack from back in the day. Love Darren Korb's stuff. And there's nothing really in Hades 2 other than the gameplay that I would say that like really hooked me. It's just like extremely well made, and all the voice acting's great. So I just like played a shitload of it and had a fantastic time. It's just really addictive. Like, I got really hooked on it in a way I never did with the first game. The first game I was kind of like playing it because I liked the story stuff so much and I wanted it. But at a certain point, it was more enjoyable for me to watch that stuff than to play it myself. Whereas Hades 2, I didn't watch fucking anybody play. I've never watched anybody play that game, really. I might have like a little bit. I don't remember if Paul ever streamed it. Mostly, I just played it a shitload. Like, I'm at 50 hours on Hades 2, and I hit like normal credits. Because that was a big thing. Hades 1, I like hit credits the first time. And I did a few more runs after that. You actually, on my YouTube, my first Hades clear is on there. I recorded that one, but I didn't stick with it. I wasn't getting the amount of story you get per next run wasn't enough to keep me going for how the gameplay felt for me. And after I was like done doing Hades 2 and was like so hooked on it, I did boot Hades 1 again on my save, and I still felt the same thing. Like, it still didn't hook. Honestly, it was worse because I was so rusty with Hades 1 specifics that it probably felt extra bad, honestly. For again, for whatever reason, I might have fucked up my Hades 1 playthrough by not gifting the gods early enough stuff. Because I feel like early in that game, I just don't get boons. I just get like gems and it sucks. I'm like, where are the boons? Whereas like I'm getting boons fucking all the time immediately in Hades 2. I'm getting new powers, so that might be like I like accidentally fucked my game file over. But I don't know. I don't know how that works. But a big thing I've been thinking about the story that's pretty horseshit is the way Hades 2 is like married to the idea of everyone kind of being nice and getting along in the end. Like all which is like so antithetical to the way Greek mythology works. So you have the premises of these characters all hating each other, but you play the video game and by the end it's a fucking love fest, even though kind of nothing's changed also. And doing that for like doing it the first time was one thing. Doing it the second time, like it's like a hat on a hat love fest kind of thing. I don't know. It feels weird at the end of the day. Feels weird. And I've been thinking about it because there is another game that I've been playing that also is unrelentingly like, you know, everybody's fine. Everything's great. Nothing's that bad. And that's Pokémon Legends Z-A specifically. And I just want to talk about the fact that Pokemon is like so weird about its world building in the way we're like. So I forget what game it is, but the epitome for this is like you get to. There's a game with a mining town where everybody's miners, and the Pokemon are also miners. Got Machoke working in the mines, and like in a traditional JRPG, the mining town is a place where everybody's miserable. You know, in Final Fantasy VII, the old mining town has been ruined, and everybody hates Barret. And everyone's miserable. And Pokemon, it's like, what if we had the mining town, but everyone's fucking happy and just wants to talk about how much they love mining. How their assigned job is their favorite thing. And Pokemon's Legends Z-A is more of that. In that you have things like if you the ZA tournament structure, if you get to A rank, you get your greatest wish. And your first battle in that tournament is against a taxi driver who's like, when I win the ZA, I'm going to eliminate all other forms of transit so that people can only ride taxis because I love taxis so much. And it's just taking positivity to the point of being completely unhinged. And it's like, I guess that's a joke, but that's just the truth of the reality of this world and the way it works. It's just bizarre, this thing that they've built in like the aim of nothing's bad ever. Like there's a problem, but it's not that bad. Sure, our town is slowly being taken over by rampant monsters that will try to kill humans and is like taking over people's houses. Like as you play the game, more and more areas get cordoned off to the wild zones. Like suddenly, like, you know, your fucking the front of your apartment is inaccessible because there are wild beasts there that will try and murder you. And you got to be like a, you know, a energetic 10-year-old or whatever. I think the kids in this are a little older. Um they certainly act as independent agents. um they have jobs and stuff, I guess, sort of. Um but yeah, it's just weird. And like your kindly old mentor is like an ancient king who murdered thousands and is like ancient, is like thou is like a thou is like really fucking old. And he's like, but he's a good guy, you know? Sure, he sacrificed an entire kingdom to resurrect his dog, who's a flower, but like, wouldn't you do the same thing for your cat who got enlisted into a war and then died? It's just part of the backstory of this game. The little flower Pokemon went off, got caught up in war, and died. So that stuff's weird. The game's pretty fun. I had a good time. I burned through it. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about the real-time combat, but it was fine. I think it was really good for a single player game. I feel much less threatened because I really like traditional Pokemon combat. But they're coming out with Pokemon Champions or whatever. That's like Smogon, just the pure battling thing for doing competitive Pokemon battling or whatever. And it'll be on phones and stuff, like, because that's coming. So they clearly have like found like this crazy system they built that's so detailed and pretty good and interesting. Like, let's just fucking put it where, like, take it out of this RPG for children and let it be a battling game for children and children at heart. And then we can do fucking weird shit in the single player games. The thing that's really interesting about Legends Z-A's combat is how dedicated it is to being mapped one-to-one to the turn-based combat. Even though it's a real-time thing that's completely different. But it's still like, okay, you still got all the moves from the 2D ones. They work. Some of them work completely differently. That's just fucking weird. Like, you have all the items, which is weird in this one, because I don't remember if Arceus had held items. I want to say it didn't, but I'm not 100% sure. I know neither of them have natures, which puts them, because this is like, so I think of this as like in line with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, this line of Pokemon games where they don't have natures. And I kind of think the not having natures thing sucks, because without that, the Pokemon are kind of just stat blobs with their types. The natures, which is basically like a passive ability a Pokemon has. And they can only have one, but Pokemon they're usually like two they could have. That stuff is like is more interesting. It more differentiates certain Pokemon specifically. Like it really defines some Pokemon. Some abilities it's like whatever not having them. But some it's like really, like the whole gimmick of the Pokemon only makes sense because of this ability. So when it's just a stat blob, it's like, this thing doesn't has no like feeling to it. It's just a blob of numbers. So I'm just gonna play the blob with bigger numbers. Other than like, you aesthetically like this Pokemon more than that Pokemon. Whatever. I'm a gameplay first game gamer. Um I want to play with Metagross and Greninja and Charizard because I'm an edgy 12-year-old. Um The other fun part about this game is that it's basically about beating up, like bullying children. Like, and by children, I mean the NPCs. Some of them are adults because you get into in the Z-A tournament. They're like you basically have to hunt down trainers, but it's the opposite of like the way, because it basically upends the normal structure of like how you engage in a trainer battle. It like traditionally in a Pokemon game of you walk and then boop. You walk into their cone of vision, they see you, they walk up to you, and now they're gonna challenge you. And it can work that way in this. But because you can dodge roll and crouch and like hide behind bushes, and also their Pokemon is just standing there next to them, you get to throw out your Pokemon outside of battle and just fucking end them as like a first attack, sneak attack thing, where you're just like popping out of a bush and throwing a fireball in their face and they're fucking dead. And that's fun. And they're just standing around like waiting for you to do that. Or like sometimes they're like walking around and you like you do your little stealth and you crawl behind like where they can't see you but you can see them because you're like on a staircase or whatever. And also you just need to be close enough to select their Pokemon and then you send your Pokemon off to attack it. And the battle doesn't get triggered until your Pokemon attacks it or the opposite trainer sees you. So if you get spotted, it's no good. But basically you run up, you send your Pokemon attack, then you like slink back into the shadows until the thing goes off. And then you're like, ha ha, ha, get owned, child. It's fun. It's not like hard or anything. But it is funny. But then the other thing is there's the multiplayer, which if my computer weren't dead, I probably would have streamed some of, where it's 4 players and it's a free for all. So you get to like sit back and then try to kill steal. These other children, I assume. So that's also fun in a chaotic kind of way. It's also interesting in the multiplayer mode because you do get points. Your like ranking points are determined by like the number of last hits you get, basically, not whether you won. Like if you get a lot of kills but come in last, you can still gain points. If you come in last and fucking, don't knock anybody out, you'll lose points. But yeah, you don't have I did win mostly. Knocking people out, and you have like 3 Pokemon and you can switch between them, but as soon as one of them gets knocked out, well, you can switch between them once. Like you can't go back and forth, but you can switch more until one of your Pokemon gets knocked out, and then you get put on a reset timer. So they put in timeout until you respawn. And it was fun. I did it just to get the Mega Greninja item because I wanted to finish the game with Mega Greninja, and I did. Also, one other thing about this game is the ending is pretty good for a Pokemon game. Like, again, it's like if you compared it to like actual good but high budget, RPGs. Like if you came at someone who played fucking Expedition 33 and said Pokemon Z-A is so good, like you'll get fucking laughed out of the room. But the spectacle at the end of Pokemon Z-A is pretty fun. It's big and dumb. And it was entertaining. Pokemon Z-A really loses points in modern day for not having voice acting, for how much story they're trying to do. Because really, they're trying to do like Persona. Like this game is like clearly heavily influenced by Persona, even though it's Persona for this is Persona for babies, but it's trying to do that thing. There's like there's like a day-night cycle. You have a crew that you're friends with. Like it's got some of this. It's got more of the stuff than any other fucking Pokemon has. It's closer in that way. So it was entertaining. It was entertaining. I was entertained. It was also like a huge thing is it's been a couple years since a Pokemon game. I honestly think the worst thing Pokemon does is when they're like, we have to release a game every year, or on the case of Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet, 2 games in 1 year was fucking insane. It's just too much. I can't. As someone who likes these games, I actually think playing more than once every other year, I feel much better about doing that than playing one every year. It's just not as it like whatever part of my brain it feeds in terms of monster RPG for babies that it gives me the dopamine that I like. I don't need that every year. Apparently, it's kind of the thing. Like if you give it to me every other year, I'd be like, yeah, this is great. I will put 50 hours to this and have a good time. I would like it to run at 60 frames per second. I'm kind of nervous about when they start making these games for Switch 2, because this game is definitely aided by the fact that it was made to run on a Switch 1, and so it just runs at 60 on Switch 2. Because it wasn't fucking. Although apparently it runs better than some of the previous Pokemon game, Scarlet and Violet did on Switch. That was such a fucking disaster piece. But again, they released 2 games in 1 year. It was stupid. At least the 2 games that are actively on fire. Also compared to Legends Arceus, I liked how many I liked having a lot of trainer battles. Legends Arceus was like a fun game, but it had like 15 total trainer battles. It was so absurdly low. And that was too low. That game was cool, but like there weren't enough actual fights. It was just throwing Pokeballs over and over again, which also, was okay. You did get to fly around. I haven't unlocked flying in this game. I don't know if it's in there at some point. I don't think so. It doesn't seem like it would be the way the game is structured. So probably not. Probably not. Anyway. What else? Do I have anything else? I've been playing Silksong. That's kind of the opposite thing where like it's kind of falling into the Hades 1 zone for me in terms of I think this game is super cool. I really like it. I enjoy playing it. It doesn't have like the like I have to fucking do it the way Hollow Knight 1 did. It's just a little more annoying, I feel like, the way it plays. It's like a little I'm a little more annoyed at the difficulty, I guess. Although I don't know that I've done anything that's that hard either. I'm just like it's I'm not really a Metroidvania person, so it's hard. It's like it was really impressive that Hollow Knight hooked me so hard, and Silksong kind of just isn't. Although how much have I played? Let's see. I have played. I've played 16 hours of Silksong. There's cool stuff happening, but other games came out. Hades 2 came out, you know. And the other game I'm playing is Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, which I also would go back, which I need to finish. I'm like 9 hours, 10 hours into that one. And that's a game that I've always wanted to like. Actually, there was one year I actually wanted that game for Christmas, but instead, I assume my dad just couldn't find it. And I ended up with Final Fantasy VIII instead. And it's the reason I wanted Tactics was because I saw a magazine ad I liked. It's not like that deep. And 8 never clicked with me. Like the story didn't hit, and like I fucking love FF7. Final Fantasy 7. That's like that and Pokemon kind of coming out around the same time were like the two RPGs for me. And 8 never clicked, and I really didn't like the magic draw system. I know you can fucking break it, but like just the basic way it works of your magic having limited quantities really just doesn't, I don't like it in my soul. Like I know that like you just equip them to your stats and then you make all your stats broken and you walk through the game, but that doesn't sound that interesting to me either. And I just didn't like the storytelling, the characters that much. It didn't speak to me. And part of that is Final Fantasy VII felt more like Star Wars, and Final Fantasy VIII didn't. Final Fantasy VII was stealing from Akira, which I then later learned is the coolest shit in the world. Final Fantasy VIII doesn't have enough Akira in it. Anyway, but Final Fantasy Tactics is, in my attempts to try and play that game, like I have the PSP version. I've just bounced off it because it's like not Fire Emblem. It's not GBA Fire Emblem, which is the tactic game that actually I got super hooked on. Because I read GameSpot, I would avidly read GameSpot reviews for GBA games, like looking for what's the game that's going to speak to me. And eventually the idea of a tactics game where all your units are characters that can die. They're like distinct people. That was just like really compelling to me. And then I played it and had a great time. I was fucking dog shit. Like, I think, like, and that's great. It's great that I played that game and I was total trash, and it was fine. Like, Sacred Stones, I think, like, literally, I just fucked up and, like, it was close to being a soft lock, because I just didn't have characters who were strong enough at the end of the game to actually hurt the final boss. Ephraim was a little underleveled. Um. Anyway, yeah, Tactics. It was going back to it after the fact. It's a little too obtuse. There were just a lot of little things, and the fact that like you have a lot of like nameless characters in your party, which I didn't like as much as Fire Emblems. Like all your dudes are people. Your these having your RPG character who's just fucking generic or whatever didn't speak to me as much. But really, it's like the way the combat works and how punishing it was on like you move and you think you're close but you're not, but nope, your move is locked in and then it happens. So this remake where it has the quality of life where you can move a character, see if they're in range. Oh no, they're not, take it back. It makes all the difference to me. It makes it a much more playable. It makes it a thing I want to engage with. Like, I don't want to bash my head around that kind of thing. That like once you learn the game, like people who've been playing it, if you've played that game for years, you know how it works. But first impression is so much smoother. Like, you have to pick your layout for your team when you go into a mission. And in the original game, they would just show you the square setup of where you could put your people. But you would have no idea. It was like abstracted. So you had no idea what that was going to look like on the actual map. And in this new version, you just see those squares on the map, so it's clear. And like that's just like easily so much better to me. And all like the story stuff, it's like everything else is like the same. It's just these quality of life changes. At being a modern video game that make it a thing I want to engage with instead of a thing that I go, I could do something else, you know. I could go play Magic, The Gathering, or whatever. Yeah. So I'm like 10 hours into Final Fantasy Tactics now. I've got, I was getting into a groove, but, stuff happens. I haven't touched it in a while. Look forward to getting back to it. It's a good game. I recommend it. Some of the stuff about how it works is ridiculous. Like the way mages work in that game, they're they're like crazy strong with the ranged attacks, but like they walk up the first time you encounter black mages. Like they walk up, they like target you, and like you can't get to them, and then you just blow up and die or whatever. So like once you understand how that works, you like get positioned to get your guys in the right row. But like the first time, it's like, what the fuck? I'm just getting murdered. And like also like they don't have a lot of mana. Like they're spending their stuff. I don't know. That stuff's also funny. And I'm like doing I read about the trick to make sure you're always getting XP. Where there's like one of the beginner classes just has a skill where they can take an action when they don't have anything else to do, and you'll get XP from that. So that's useful to know. So I don't have to grind, because the last thing in the world I want to do is grind. I just want to be able to play the game, and then it happens at like a decent pace for the challenge of the game. I don't want it to be... I kind of don't want it to be a cakewalk, but I don't want it to be too hard either. Because then I will give up. Frankly, if it gets too hard, I'll probably just give up. There's other stuff to do. I like it, but I don't like it that much. Yeah. And I think that's a good place to start. The one other thing I want to shout out is if you haven't watched the Knights of Guinevere pilot on YouTube, look that shit up. It's sick. It's so good. I feel like if me and Ben had time to like do a thing where we just gush for 15 minutes, which we don't even, that would have happened. Because that thing's just sick, but like I don't really have anything to say about it. It's just really good, and it's it's like a short pilot for a show that hopefully we get more of eventually. It's made by the creator of Owl House. She's working for a independent animation thing where like they make a pilot and then they try to sell a bunch of merch to then like fund making more of it. And it's it's really friggin' good. And like, of like, nightmare Disney princess stuff, which is very funny coming from someone who worked at Disney. It's got good, body horror, tech, nightmare, future, dystopia stuff. Good stuff. Recommend. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end this podcast there. There was some comic book stuff I was gonna talk about, but we might be covering some of that on Assault the Labyrinth. It's kind of still TBD. There are good comic books out in this world. I don't know if you know this. They make good ones. Anyway, I think that's a podcast.